Hi, this is Rohan. How many of you have opened your refrigerator, reached in for the container of strawberries, found mold growing on it, grossed out, and threw the fruit away? I have to admit I've done this, and unfortunately, this is an all too common scenario in many households. This video focuses on household food waste. People waste mountains of food. They just don't realize how much food they waste every single day. Households account for the largest portion, about 37% of all food waste. According to the nonprofit ReFed, 76 billion pounds of food, or 238 pounds of food per person, are wasted every year in US households. This has an environmental, social, and economic impact.
Oh. I wasn't planning on buying any ice cream, but that sale was too good to pass up.
Sales and promotions encourage people to overbuy by making bulk or impulse purchases. These purchases do not always fit into their regular meal plans, and food ends up being spoiled before usage.
Goji berries? What's that? I think I'll try that. Oh. Look at the time. It's 7 p.m. I don't have time to go home and cook. I'll pick up a hamburger on my way home.
People are poor planners too. Without having meal plans or shopping lists, consumers buy ingredients they may not use. If there are any unplanned visits to restaurants or food delivery, then food at home gets wasted. Just like this guy buying goji berries and stopping to buy a hamburger on his way home. Also, poor planning includes preparing more food than needed, forgetting to eat leftovers, which then gets thrown away. According to ReFed and the Harvard Food Policy Law Clinic, confusion over date labels is a contributing factor to food waste in the US. An estimated 90% of Americans throw out still usable food because of lack of understanding on sell by, best by, used by, and best before dates. There is no federal policy on the meaning and the proper use of date labels and adds to this confusion. I'm standing on top of some food waste at a landfill. It stinks here. It smells like rotten eggs. Ew! According to 2018 estimates from the Environmental Protection Agency, about 68% of household food waste, or 42.8 million tons, ends up in landfills or in combustion facilities. This is the least preferred EPA disposal method because useful organic matter and nutrients are destroyed, resulting in the production of methane in landfills. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas, which contributes to global warming. Furthermore, 25% of fresh water consumed in the US each year is wasted because of food waste. Wasted food is a social problem. According to the EPA, in 2018, 11.1% of households in the US did not have reliable access to affordable, nutritious food. 37.2 million Americans live in such households, of which 11.2 million are children. If we reduced our food waste by just 15%, it is enough to feed more than 25 million Americans per year. So, perfectly nutritious food should feed humans instead of going into landfills. Wasted food is an economic issue as well. According to a 2020 dietary data study of more than 40,000 US adults and cited in the Washington Post, it was found an average person spends $1,300 a year on food that never gets eaten. This is more than the average annual spending on clothing, gasoline, household heat, and electricity. About 20% of consumer waste is attributed to throwing away safe, edible food. This costs $29 billion of wasted consumer spending each year. Prevention is the most effective way for reducing food waste. Identifying bad food habits, planning, prepping, storing food, and understanding food date labels will help you prevent food waste. You should identify any bad food habits by monitoring your waste. Be mindful about what you are throwing away and when. For example, Are you overbuying groceries, or are you cooking more food than your family can consume, or are you throwing out restaurant leftovers? Once you determine your weak areas, curtail those activities. You should take steps to plan, prepare, and properly store food. Some tips include the following. Plan your meals for the week before you go shopping. This way you will not overbuy. Buy only what you need and will use. Do not wash berries and store in the refrigerator. Wait until you are ready to eat them to prevent mold. Package leftovers for the freezer. Cook fruit, especially if overripe, without disposing it. You should learn to understand food date labels. The Food and Drug Administration, which has the authority to regulate food date labels, does not do so because they are not related to safety. According to food scientists in the US, not a single food safety related outbreak has occurred due to consumption of food past the due date. If you're like me, however, you are probably still hesitant to eat food past the due date. What I do is I make my own judgment as to whether a certain food is still good past its due date by checking its smell, texture, and color. If all three pass muster, then I taste it, and if that's good too, then I eat it. To date, no one in my family has gotten sick. Alternatively, if you feel it's appropriate, then consider donating it. Following these preventive solutions should have beneficial outcomes. By reducing food waste, you help to conserve energy and natural resources and prevent pollution as less waste is sent to landfills or combusted. By reducing food waste, you help feed food insecure people through your donations. By being mindful of your food habits, you can save money by buying only what you use. Households are proportion-wise the biggest contributor to food waste. Overbuying, poor planning, and not understanding food date labels are how food waste happens in our homes. It is important to reduce food waste as it has environmental, social, and economic impacts. Preventive measures are the most effective steps we should take to not be so wasteful. So, each of us needs to do our part. Identify your bad food habits, then take steps to cease them. Plan, prep, and store your food properly. Learn what food date labels mean. If we do this, we will save money, help the environment and the needy, and conquer those mountains of food waste.